then Emma comes over and she's like, oh, Lucy, you need to eat your food, Lucy, you know. So have some cheese. Then I said, I'm eating my strawberries and my cheese, you know, to Lucy. And she said, no. That's what she said, you know. So then we just stopped trying to feed her, and I just grabbed my acoustic guitar, and we started writing this song. We just started going around the circle, and we started singing this. I'm eating my strawberries and my cheese. I'm eating my whole plate, even my peas. I'm happy. I'm so happy. And I'm stuffing that oatmeal down my throat. I'm drinking my milk from cows and goats. I'm happy, making everybody happy. And then we said, happy, I'm so happy. See that? Happy, I'm so happy. Yeah. Happy, I'm so happy. Happy, I'm so happy. Everybody whistle now. Strawberries and my cheese. I'm eating my whole plate, even my peas. I'm happy. I'm so happy. And I'm stuffing that oatmeal down my throat. I'm drinking my milk from cows and goats. I'm happy. Yeah, making everybody happy. 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 I'm so happy. Yeah. Happy. I'm so happy. Happy. Happy, I'm so happy. Happy, I'm so happy. You all help us, come on. So that's what it means to come to the mountain of the living God. Like with your life. You see, dualism isn't what God's about. God doesn't want us to be dualistic in our life. Sometimes we do spiritual things, sometimes we do secular things. Jesus made everything new. See, we don't worship music. We bring our worship to our music. And worship is just an expression. But the act of worship is when you're feeding your daughter strawberries and cheese and stuffing oatmeal down her throat, and she spits it out on you, and you either decide that you're going to kind of have a good time with this, or you just get frustrated. The act of worship, see, it doesn't matter, you see, if people think happy is worship. You know why? Because your opinion doesn't matter to God. What matters to God is that we bring our worship to our music. And music has become a great idol in the church. And we think we're worshiping because we're singing a certain form of music. How do you think God thinks about that? He listened to Bach. He listened to Mozart. You think you're some hot stuff playing your guitar on a Sunday morning in church? You think you're good? If your heart isn't good, if you're not bringing your worship to your music, it doesn't really matter how excellent you can play, because God's heard it all. See, God wants to destroy the forms. He wants to bring a youth culture to a place that we can actually like what we like instead of have to be told what we like. Like we could like a form of music that maybe somebody else wouldn't like just because we're actually free. And so if we keep doing this cycle, this sociology of religion cycle, where we just keep thinking that the new thing is the whole thing, then we miss the fullness of what it means to be a follower of Jesus and what it really means to be a worshiper. And it has nothing to do with music. That's just an expression. Heschel used to say it this way, a great Jewish scholar used to say, faith, always remember that the expression of faith is not the act of faith. And belief is not faith. Faith is an activity. We actually, last night, we got into this thing. I'd never done that before. Because there's always something spontaneous that happens to us, and that's where the act of worship is. You have to trust the Lord in the midst of your expressions. And expressions matter to God, but they matter more in the sense of how you got that expression. It's not really the music, it's the heart, see. It's the activity that goes into that. When we're singing, when the music fades and all is stripped away, see, I really believe that God looks at it eternally, see. He sees the whole brokenness of how that song maybe was written. And so all of a sudden he hears us singing, when the music fades and all is stripped away, and he sees the whole thing. And then all of a sudden he sees people in the midst of a worship service, in the midst of that expression of music, start to be broken in their own heart and say, we're coming back to the heart of worship, and it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. But easily, and you can see this happen with all kinds of great, beautiful worship expressions, so all of a sudden, we're coming back to the song, the heart of worship. Every Sunday we sing it, and it's becoming rote to us. Right? So that's the time when you set aside the expression because it's become an idol until you believe it and mean it again. And then you bring it back. You see? So the expression comes from bringing our worship to our music, and then the fight for all of us as a band is always to bring our action to our expression every time again. So, okay, we're singing about trusting. Well, let's trust him a little. Let's go. And so last night, it's like, what's the act of worship? When I go somewhere I'd never been before, and I said, okay, we're just going to begin to focus on the cross. And we're going to begin to focus on the throne. And then we can see, and it's just in that tension of feeling that, any of you guys that are ministers, you know what that's like. It's that tension, but that's the real act of worship, that trusting the Lord. Because the ultimate act of worship is trusting the Lord. So for all of us, we just keep coming to that place where we're trusting you, Lord. So, happy, I'm so happy. That's what it's all about. Like, for instance, sit down and let's just real quick, or you don't have to, just play it on the guitar. Just real quickly, look at that dog. Fast. Real fast. As fast as you can do it. Maybe not. Oh, yeah. There you go. All right, so I'm riding on a bike with my son, right? We're riding down the street, and we see a dog sticking his head out the window. And my son says, hey, look at that dog sticking out his head. So I said, uh-huh. And then all of a sudden it just dawned on me, because we're riding, and this dog is sticking his head out the window, and it almost looks like he's driving the car. You know what I mean? So I'm like, hey, Sam, we're racing this dog.